The temple was much larger than the compound in Mibu, as advertised. The whole Shinsengumi could gather in the common room with space to spare. As Kondo-san spoke, his voice echoed grandly throughout the hall. Standing before Kondo-san were the many-powered men under the leadership with glowing expressions.
皆も徳川第14代将軍徳川家茂公が上洛されるという話は聞き及んでいると思う。その上洛に伴い公が二条城に入られるまで新選組総力をもって警護の任に当たるべしとの要請を受けた。
将軍公の警護を新選組が？
こりゃとんでもねえ大出世だな。
池田屋や金門の変の活躍でお偉いさん方も俺たちの働きを認めざるを得なかったんだろうよ。
警護中は文字通り僕らの刀に国の行く末がかかってるってことですか？
そういうことだ。てめえら気合い入れていけよ。
将軍公の警護とはまた大役ですな。
本当に三男さんが生きていればどれほどお喜びになったことか。本当に惜しい方を亡くしましたわね。
Ito-san wiped crocodile tears away from his eyes with a silk handkerchief. Ito-san and his followers were told Sanon-san died. In fact, the entire incident surrounding his transformation had been covered up. Only a few of the men of the Shinsengumi knew the truth.
伊藤さん、こたびの幕命を立派に成し遂げることこそ亡くなった三男君が真に望んでいることだと思います。
分かっていますわ。私たちの名を天下に広く知らしめる絶好の機会ですものね。
ともあれ、これから忙しくなりますな。
まずはタイの編成を考えねば。とりあえず俺とトシ、それからソウジ。
待ってくれ近藤さん。ソウジは今回外してやってくれねえか。
なぜだ？
なんでも風邪が治らねえとかでな。養生しろって散々言ってるのによ。
本当か？大丈夫なのかソウジ？
大した風邪じゃないんですけどね。土方さんは大げさなんですよ。
何言ってやがるんだ。さっきも咳してただろうが。
それ薬を売りつけるための工場ですか？何を言われても石田三役は買いませんよ。
そんなんじゃねえよ。いいから言う通りにしろ。
I gave Oki to some pretty strong medicine not too long ago. I wonder if that didn't work. Or maybe he doesn't have a cold, but rather he's inhaling dust from the lack of cleaning here? Then suddenly someone raised his hand.
平介、どうしたんだね。何か気になることでもあるのか？
あのさ、近藤さん。実は俺もちょっと調子が。
なんだ、平介も風邪か？気をつけないといかんぞ。せっかくの晴れ舞台、全員揃って家持公をお迎えしたかったのだがな。
すいません。
ああ、いや、責めたわけではないんだ。体調は大事だからな。いずれまた機会もあるであろうし、二人にはその時存分に働いてもらいたい。
Kondo-san and Hijikata-san continued to discuss their formation, but suddenly Hijikata-san turned to me.
そういや雪村、お前はどうするんだ？ほうけてるんじゃねえよ。お前は警護に参加するのかって聞いてんだ。
I can go too?
無論構わんとも。君も今や新選組の一員と言っても過言ではない。ぜひ参加してくれ。
Could I really go? I hesitated for a moment, confused, and Okita laughed.
まあ言ってもいいんじゃない？そんなに危険もなさそうだしね。
長州藩士は今日に出入りできねえから、切った張ったの騒ぎにはならねえだろうし。
What should I do? I'm just a little concerned about a person like me who's not a warrior coming along, but I was feeling emotionally strained with no leads of my father turning up on rounds. I'll go.
よし、わかった。お前には伝令やら使いっ走りを頼むことになると思うがな。こき使ってやるから覚悟しとけ。
In the early days of the Tokugawa shogunate, Nijo Castle was a place for the shogun to stay on his way to the capital. It's been a while since the shogun actually stayed in it, though. We met the shogun on the road and began our escort to about 30 minutes earlier and arrived at the castle relatively recently. By now, I imagined, Kondo-san, Nakakura, Inoue-san, and the men were greeting the officials and other important people in the shogun's retreat. Fuck it. Well, I've got a job to do too. It was my job to tell soldiers when to change shifts and to carry messages back and forth. A glorified errand girl, in other words. I don't see myself as being useless though, I think. I've come with a message.
なんだ、お前が伝達係かよ。ここは遊び場じゃねえんだぜ。
Well, I'm not here to play.
へえ、そうかよ。じゃあまともな刀も刺してないお前が何しに来てるんだ？
I've come here to do what I can do. Would you mind if we stop playing games?
言ってみろ。
The chief is currently going around paying his respects to the people in the castle. Everyone else continue with the guard.
わかった。確かに伝達は聞いたぜ。
Huh? That's it? It's that simple?
おい。なんだそのバカ面は。俺が伝達を聞いたのがそんなにおかしいか。
Oh, well, no, I just...
仕事は仕事だからな。市場を挟むつもりはねえんだよ。ほら、伝達は聞いたんだ。さっさと行け。
Okay. Miki and I never really got on the best of terms, but maybe he's a responsible person? After he shooed me away, I continued attending to my duties as a messenger. In the surroundings of Nijo Castle, I can see the warriors wearing a white uniform, which was different than the afternoon uniform. They don't seem too nervous. But I guess it makes sense. Some of the Imperial Nationalist extremists were driven out of Kyo, and many warriors fled. There's no way anything would happen. A sudden chill ran down the length of my spine. I froze. No, roll the chair, go the other way. Other way, please. Thank you. I knew the feeling. A length of cold steel seeking entry into your flesh, eyes shining with a lust for blood and violence. Since I began living with the Shinsengumi, I felt it more than once. Bloodlust. My eyes were drawn to the roof where no one would think to look. A large wall cast a shadow, shielding a section of the roof from the moonlight. There they stood. You!
気づいたか。さほど鈍いというわけでもないよ。
They looked very distinctive, unlike any soldiers I'd seen before. But 3 sets of piercing eyes scattered my thoughts, making it hard to think. I had recognized them. Now I had to put names to faces. Chikage Kazama. Kyuji Amagiri. Kyo Shiranui. They were connected to both the Satsuma and the Choshu, and they made an effort to impede the Shinsengumi at Ikeda and again at Hamaguri. Why are you here?
そのなぜっつうのはどうやってここに立ち入ったかを聞いてやがんのか。だったら答えは簡単だ。俺ら鬼の一族には人間が作る障害なんざ意味をなさねえんだよ。
我々はある目的のためにここに来た。君を探していたのです。
What? My heart was pounding so hard it could burst. Why do these men know my name? I don't understand. A demon? What do you mean? And what are you here for? No, you must be joking.
鬼を知らぬだと本気で言っているの。
He stepped forwards, cloaked in shadows. When Amagiri spoke, it was calm and peaceful, as if he were reasoning with a frightened child.
君は負った傷がすぐに癒えませんか。
I held my breath.
波の人間とは思えぬほど怪我の治りが早くありませんか。
How does he know my secret? I've never revealed it to anyone before. Well, Words struggled to come to mind, and just as I was about to deny their accusations.
ああ、なんなら血ぶちまけて証明した方が早いか。
Shiranui's gun glistened eerily.
知らぬい。貴様貴重な女鬼に傷を負わせるつもりか。
んなこと言われても、こいつの往生際が悪いんだからしょうがねえだろうが。
After Kazuma glared at Shiranui, his eyes drifted towards the kodachi on my hip again.
多くは語らぬ。鬼を示す生と東の鬼が持つ小立ち。証拠としては十分にすぎる。
My family name? What was wrong with Yukimura? I didn't understand what he was saying, and the cold sweat started inching down my spine.
言っておく。お前を連れて行くのに同意などいらぬ。女鬼は貴重だ。共に来い。
His hand stretched out from the darkness, pale and grasping like the tentacles of some hideous subterranean monster. Then a blade flickered through the night.
おいおい、合いびきならもう少し色気のある場所を選んだ方がいいんじゃねえか。
またお前たちか。田舎の犬は目端だけは聞くと見える。
それはこちらのセリフだ。
Harada! Saita-san! My legs almost collapsed, as if the now shattered tension was the only thing keeping me standing. I teetered backwards, my balance momentarily lost. A strong, sinewy hand caught me and pulled me back, its grip hard as steel.
下がってろ。
Hijikata-san. One hand guided me around behind him, as the other drew his sword.
将軍の首でも取りに来たかと思えば、こんなガキ一人に一体何の用だ。
将軍も貴様らも今はどうでもいい。これは我ら鬼の問題だ。
鬼だと。
His eyes narrowed. Hijikata-san seemed perplexed by Kazuma's statement, as if contemplating the possibility of its truth.
こいつの面を拝むのは金門の変以来だな。
腐れんってとこか。大して嬉しくもねえがな。再会という意味ではこちらも同じくだ。だが何の考えもわかんな。
我々の邪魔立てをするつもりですか。ならば
The tension was so thick in the air that I could scarcely breathe. They were a powder keg ready to explode. Even the slightest movement could set them off. It wasn't like I could do much. But I still wanted to help them, so I grabbed my sword.
副長たちの心配は無用だ。
Yamazaki? When did you...
副長の命だ。君はこのまま俺が屯所まで連れて行く。
Then, you're telling me to run away?
その通りだ。君がここにいてもできることは何もない。
I mean, he may be right, but... Go back to headquarters. Even as I ran back to the headquarters with Yamazaki, I couldn't shake the fear in my heart. When I finally got to the compounds, I still felt nervous, and I could do nothing but stare into the blank darkness behind me.
もう大丈夫だ。さすがにここまで追ってはこれまい。
You're right. You're right. I mean, we're pretty far. And besides, you're with me, Yamazaki-san.
信頼してくれてありがとう。だが、俺は副長たちのところへ戻らなくてはならない。皆将軍校の警護に出ているから、今の屯所に大使はほとんど残っていない。沖田さんか東堂さんのところにいるのがいいだろう。そこが最も安全だ。
Understood.
では、後のことは頼んだぞ。
With that, he disappeared back into the darkness. Suddenly, the night felt very quiet. The word demon echoed through my head, and their faces floated in front of my eyes. I shook my head. As the temple came back into focus, I felt very, very alone. As Yamazaki-san said, I should go find Okita Heisuke. But whom should I look for? Hey! Oh, Okita. It's Okita.
あれ
Okita looked up from cleaning his sword as I entered the hall.
二条城に行ってるんじゃなかったっけ？どうしたの？一人で。
Well,
あ、わかった。さては何か失敗して土方さんに追い返されたんでしょ。
something like that.
あのさ、そんな引きつった顔で返事されても全然からかいがいがないんだけど。
That's what you're worried about, Okita. Huh?
何があったのか聞かせてくれるかな。
Well, still feeling upset, I told Okita about the incident that unfolded in Nijo Castle. The minute I mentioned Kazuma's name, Okita's eyes lit up.
へえ、そうなの。風間千景。あいつが来てたんだ。あいつらが来るって分かってれば、意地でも言ったんだけどな。
What? Of course he could have. No, you're sick. Hijikata-san told you to rest.
うるさいな。そもそも君が悪いんじゃない。君にもらった薬、全然効か。
Okita! For just a moment, all colors but one faded away. I forgot about demons and castles upon seeing one thing, the sickly red splatter across Okita's hand and mouth. Are you okay? I'll go get someone. Heisuke!
ダメだ!
His voice was rough and strained, but filled with unexpected rage. He wiped the blood from his mouth and glared at me over the top of his hand. From under his bangs, his eyes, burning with anger, nailed me to the floor.
今見たことは忘れて大丈夫。ただ喉が傷ついただけだよ。
Back when I was in Edo, I was helping my father out at his clinic. There were a few times where I'd see patients who cough up blood from coughing too much. But what I just saw was something else. Okita.
聞こえなかった。忘れろって言ったでしょ。
He was so adamant about He was so adamant about me not helping him, so it was difficult to know how to react. What could I tell him? But
もし君がこのことを誰かに言うつもりなら。
Okay. But in the least, please just go to sleep and rest.
しょうがないか。
Okita pouted like a child and unwillingly accepted. The words of the men who claimed to be demons lingered in my heart. There were so many things for me to be worried about. However, more than any of that, I was just worried about the man sick in front of me. I continued to eye Okita, who slept with his back faced towards me as I watched the dawn slowly emerge through the long, cold night. Since then... Once the rest of the men returned, there was a meeting among the captains. The subject of that meeting was the 3 men at Nijo Castle, Chikage Kazuma, Kyuju Amagiri, and Kyo Shiranui. They called themselves demons, and their previous encounters with the Shinsengumi suggested they were somehow involved with the Satsuma and Choshu. The Satsuma were the most powerful domain in the opposition domain, and the Choshu are publicly expressive of their dissent towards the shogunate. The Choshu are essentially enemies of the court. I don't know how the 3 men are supposedly affiliated with the domains, but it was abundantly clear they are not to be dealt with carelessly. There was another problem, however. Why have they come for me? They said I was one of them, and they knew about my family name and my kodachi. But how? My name is Chizuru Yukimura. I am the daughter of my father and my mother. I am a normal girl, nothing out of the ordinary. But who am I?